I always believed that smile. Since she was a little girl, I always believed that smile. Such a happy, such a happy, honest smile. I've lost touch with most of my family. There are probably a number who wouldn't even recognize me as being part of the family. If they see me, they wouldn't know I'm either Uncle Bill or their great Uncle Bill or whatever. But but Debbie always stayed in contact with me and would send me a message, not not frequently, but on a regular basis. We have stayed in contact with each other, and she has thanked me at various times for the encouragement she received from some of the things I've written. Um, and Anyway, yesterday afternoon, about 3:30, I I just wanted to talk to God and find out what He wanted me to pray about, who He wanted me to pray for, things like that. And I sat down in the room that I was in and asked God, out of all the people He's put me in contact with, living here in Guatemala for 25 years, nearly 25 years, um, and my family at home, and out of all the things and people I could pray for, who should I pray for? And and Debbie. Okay, Debbie and I had an agreement that even though everybody else was calling her Deborah and she was going by Deborah, I just couldn't do that. Debbie. Debbie is my first niece. Debbie's the first child I ever kind of watched over. And then I've been watching over children the rest of my life. Um, she she was the person that came to my mind. 3:30 yesterday afternoon, something like that. So, but I didn't actually end up praying for her. I just had a long memory. I was like 11 years old, and that was the first time um, it was in the short bouts here and there that her mom would ask me to watch in on her while she was doing something. My sister and I my sister Kathy and I had a chance to visit and stay with my oldest brother Louis and his wife Mary for I think a week or two during the summer on our summer vacation. This is when I was like 11 years old, and and I don't. I think they lived off Holgate, and I And I remembered that right near their home was a park with big, tall Douglas fir trees, and there was a school somewhere nearby there. But I was 11 years old, and this was Portland, Oregon, and we were from Prineville at the time. Anyway, that's not important. The thing was, Debbie was about 18 months old at the time. That seems like about what she would have been, um, judging by my memory. This was a kind of a long memory, like a little video or something of something that happened at that time that I've actually remembered it many times in my life because of the connection with just just the kind of person I am, apart from that particular memory. Um, so we were in their backyard, and it was a nice sunny day, and and they had just bought a new washer and dryer, or one of the other. So there's a big box in the backyard, and I was out there with Debbie, and this is basically where that memory it begins. I was sitting in this inside the dark box, which I was using to hide from Debbie. And she was running back and forth and squealing and laughing and looking for her Uncle Bill. And and it was at that moment that I had a scientific discovery. Inside that little cardboard box, right over my right shoulder, was a small hole the size of a pencil. And I had been sitting there with my head down like this, listening to her run back and forth and laughing and everything, run back and forth because she didn't know I was under that box. And I looked on the wall in front of me, or the inside of the cardboard box, and here was this image, fairly clear, but I was 11 years old going, what is this? And it was a picture of Debbie running back and forth, upside down and backwards. And I was amazed. What is this? I had never, I don't know what they're teaching at school at that time, at that age. I was, like I said, that was about 11 years old. And I realized that hole over my shoulder. So I put two and two together and understood that light was coming through that hole and shining on that wall and projecting an image. And that really got me started thinking about science, actually. And that's just a moment, you know. But I started realizing that what I was looking at was this image of Debbie running back and forth in the backyard, projected through this hole over my right shoulder. So I thought about that yesterday, and then about an hour later, I came to my laptop and heard about this news. So, well, I'm sorry I didn't get to give Debbie one last earthly hug. But that brings back another memory. I just got out of the military, and I barely, well, maybe I was still in the military and just came home on leave. I don't know, I don't really remember the year exactly. Well, anybody else would remember it. It was when she got married, because I barely made it to her wedding. I think it was after the actual wedding, and she was coming back, and they were coming back out through. But when she saw me, there was that smile. And it's so authentic. And she was so happy that I had made it to her wedding. And she ran at me and smashed into me, actually. She actually almost could have knocked me over. That's how hard she jumped into my arms, really, and just wrapped herself around me, so happy to see me at her wedding. And I was just as happy that I made it at least to some part of her wedding. Yeah, I miss Debbie. And I'm sorry we have, well, God called me to Guatemala, so that's just where I am. That's just the way it is. But I think, apart from various maybe personal things, or I don't know, whatever, there's not much contact between my family and I right now. Not for any negative, really, just separated, drifting apart, not contacting each other. Debbie is the only one who has really stayed in contact with me all this time. And it's really sad that I heard about this, not through Debbie, but through a friend of mine who's a friend of hers only for, I don't know how they become friends on Facebook. Margot Kessler has been a friend of mine since we were like high school age. Her and her boyfriend, later her husband Rick, and we were all friends. And somehow Margot's the one who sent me information about this. Margot, I thought, what? And not even one of my family is. Anyway, let's not get into that part. Let's just leave it like this. Look at that smile. Isn't that an authentic smile? Anyway, I love you, Debbie. And I'm sure that smile is just as bright as any smile in the heavens right now. So, I don't know. I just wanted to say these few words, I hope somebody appreciates them. Okay.